Hello, my friends. And I call our viewers friends because they have been so loyal to us. So again, let me thank you for spending all this time, not only in viewing our sports platform, but actually in subscribing and in sharing. And
Yes.
I am going to bring our viewers up to date, as I like to do that. Yes, we launched our So Fat television channel in September, which is about 8-9 months ago. And in that period, thanks to our viewers, we have over 36,000 subscribers and over 11 million views. So I thank you, and I want to again express and invite you to share and subscribe. And of course, John is gonna take you right into the heart of the matter, John, or the meat of the matter. So John, we say over to you on John's Sports Corner.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and a very good afternoon to our friends and family. Thank you for visiting and staying with John's Sports Corner on the So Bone Media Network, the global Caribbean media capital. Just let me remind you to go to Winner Circle Radio Store in the So Bone shop and get a gift from the shop. There are T-shirts, there are mugs, backpacks, there is sorrel, and of course, the great Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. So, it's all up to you. Shop till you drop.
Okay.
This afternoon, we wish to welcome my special guest to our John's Sports Corner program, Miss Nicole Grant Brown, the president of the Jamaica Gymnastics Association. Nicole, welcome to John's Sports Corner.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. I really appreciate it. It's been a while that we've been planning this, so I'm very excited to be here.
I am so happy to have you join us this afternoon, Nicole. As a friend of mine told me once, when he won a 400 meters, he said to me, John, my Gladbach boss. You know, I had Tony Williams on the radio program a few years ago. But Jamaica Gymnastics have come a long way since then, Nicole.
Yes, it has. It definitely has.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Tony made it to the 2016 Olympic Games. And she might have been injured during the games and wasn't able to perform as she would have liked. I think, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, if memory serves me right, injury stalled her career. Talk a little bit about Tony Williams and what her role was in helping Jamaica Gymnastics.
Well, Tonya, she was the first Olympian. She represented Jamaica at the Olympics. And in the 2016 Olympics, which was a historic event as we had just started really doing some planning in terms of developing the sport, because when I became president in 2015, prior to that, we were no longer a part of the FIG or the PAGO, the Pan American Gymnastics Union, as they had basically, we were not up-to-date members. So since my administration, we had sorted out all of those issues that enabled gymnasts who were interested in competing for Jamaica, regardless of where they were, able to represent us on the international stage at the Pan American level and at the international gymnastics level. So that was our first move that we made in order to create the kind of awareness that we were looking for, because most people didn't know that Jamaica did gymnastics because we were not really competing at that level. And so she was one of our pioneers in making that happen. She actually came on the scene from 2009, I think. Yeah, earlier on when she came and made it known that she would be interested in representing Jamaica, even though she wasn't living in Jamaica, but both her parents are Jamaicans. But I wasn't really an integral part of the federation at that time. But behind the scenes, I did what I could to help her, because at that time I was the director of the Jamaica Hockey Federation, because that's the sport I really do. I am a field hockey national representative. And I've represented Jamaica for many years at field hockey. So I was in the administrative aspect of field hockey, but my son did gymnastics. So people knew me because of my son's involvement. But at the administrative level of the Gymnastics Federation, I was not a part of it until 2015. When things went down, they needed someone to help them. So I resigned from hockey and decided that I would assist.
There was also Danusha Francis.
Right.
And while I never got to speak with her, I believe also her gymnastic career was impeded by injury.
Well, yes, Danusha was also one of our pioneers as well. She represented us in the Tokyo Olympics. She was there. She was one of the gymnasts who also competed at the qualifier for the 2016 Olympics. And she has done very well for Jamaica. But of course, injury is something that is inevitable, actually. And at some point, gymnast, any athlete, whatever, regardless of the sport, will or they may get injury and decided to stop for a while or stop altogether until they're fully recovered. But sometimes after recovery, you may find that you're way behind and it might take a toll on your body to really resume the level of gymnastics that you really want. So with that injury that Danusha had, she wasn't able to continue.
Let's start from let's go back to grassroots now, Nicole. And how is gymnastics organized in Jamaica?
Well, the federation actually works very closely with the clubs, because
there are clubs.
Yes, the clubs are important in the development of the sport. And of course, any sport, if you don't have clubs, then it won't prosper. So we had to work really, really closely with the clubs and be a part of the whole development and have them being a part of the whole development process. So most of these clubs have schools that are attached to their clubs. And we have a very vibrant school program where coaches go into the schools and coach the sport. So from the schools program, we have a all-star. So we select an all-star team from the schools programs competition. And from there, they move on to being part of the competitive program and being part of the junior development program. And then they move up into the development program, up into the junior nationals and the senior nationals.
What schools What schools is it gymnast? Is it just high schools or you go back to primary and
We
prep?
we do kinder, primary prep, and then we have coaches in the kinder, the primary and the prep schools. But the kids in the primary and prep schools, they matriculate to high schools and they continue doing gymnastics. But we don't have coaches going into the high schools. The kids come into the gym, those who are in the high schools. They come into the gym and they do gymnastics at the club level.
Because in the schools, a regular PE teacher cannot teach gymnastics.
Well, right. So one of the things that we're working on is to have some memorandum of understanding with the GC Foster College. We're working on that to get more teachers being able to coach the sport. GC Foster College has always been a college that teaches gymnastics, teaches that to their students. So they're aware, they know. But the thing is, in Jamaica, the focus is not on gymnastics. It's mostly on track and field, netball, cricket,
Mhm.
and those sports. So it is for us to do some more legwork in order to get the sport as a base, really, and to be a sport that is permanently a part of the whole primary school system through Institute of Sport. So it's something we're working on. We just need to iron out a few things. And we had done a presentation to InSports already, but there had been some issues, and we're working on that. Because
Gymnastics.
gymnastics is really a base sport. It's not really a sport just for gymnasts. It helps with all the other sport that a child would
Mm,
want to be a part of, because it
mhm.
helps with their balance, their coordination, their fitness level, their strength. And it's not a sport that um, you basically use the children's body weight to help them to become strong, and some conditioning and so on. So it really, really helps when they're ready to move on to other sport. It becomes easy for them to do other sport if you have a good base in gymnastics. So we're trying to get all the schools in Jamaica doing gymnastics as a part of their curriculum, which will definitely improve all other sports from track and field, football, swimming. Right now, we have swimmers who will come for conditioning at the gym, and we'll have a couple track and field athletes who also do gymnastics to keep them certain fitness levels, certain strengths, mostly strength and conditioning. So we're really positioning the sport as such.
Gymnastics is an expensive sport. How do clubs and teams, I guess, athletes manage?
Well, yes, it's a very expensive sport, yes, but we do have programs for children who are not able to afford the sport. So this is where the federation comes in, where we have schools that we will have coaches that go into those schools and introduce the sport of gymnastics to these kids in the public schools.
And you know, let's face it, but gymnastics is not necessarily, if you want to call it, a Jamaican or Caribbean thing. How do
Well,
you
it is now.
overcome?
It is
Oh,
now. It is
yeah.
now. It's yes, it is. The Jamaica, if you'll be surprised to know how many children are doing gymnastics in Jamaica. Almost most schools are involved in gymnastics. So, and in the Caribbean, there are competitions in the Caribbean. Most Caribbean countries that are doing gymnastics have annual competitions each year. So it
Mm,
has become a more widespread sport, not
you
like
meant
previous times when you hardly hear about gymnastics, where persons would
right.
say, "Oh, I didn't know that Jamaica did gymnastics." Now most people know that Jamaica do gymnastics.
You mentioned GC Foster College. earlier. What about training venues? How many facilities are available, or is GC Foster the only facility you have for training gymnasts?
Well, we don't, GC Foster is not a facility for training gymnasts in Jamaica right now. They are a school, a college that teaches coaches, the sport college. So if they're able to graduate coaches who are highly trained and can teach gymnastics in the schools, then we would have made a step forward in terms of getting gymnastics as part of the curricula for most of the public schools. But we do have facilities in Jamaica. We have the National Training Center, which is located in Kingston, and we have private clubs that have good facility as well in Kingston, and gymnastics is in other parishes. However, the facilities in other parishes may not be off for the advanced gymnasts, but recreational gymnasts as well as developmental gymnasts can train in those facilities.
So do coaches go through a qualification process? And how
Well,
that
for
works?
the federation, every coach that coaches in Jamaica, they have to have a Jamaica Gymnastics Federation Level 1 certification that we do each year. And if they do not have that, then a certified coach will have to work with that person until they receive the certification. But coaches are not allowed to coach without that certification, because it basically teaches you how to work with the children, especially the smaller kids, the youngsters. As they get to the advanced stage, they have to have the international level certification. And those certification is what allows them to coach at the advanced level. Or they will work with coaches who have the local certification and train them. But in order for them to be able to coach on their own, they have to have the certification.
With me this afternoon is Nicole Grant Brown, president of the Jamaica Gymnastics Association. And Nicole, where do you typically draw youngsters from to start to get interested in gymnastics?
Well, we pull them from the schools program. So once they are a part of the schools program, we have a competition each year, several competitions. And from those competitions, we select like an all-star schools team. And then those kids would represent at competitions in the Caribbean. Then as they get to the more advanced level, they start working, training at the gym and move on to the next level.
Is there an age that kids start getting interested in gymnastics?
Well, from them born, and start figure out that's interesting. Because I have two little ones and they're doing the stuff. They go to the gym and they do the stretches and whatever the kids do with them. But mostly we begin at age 2 with the babies, and we have baby nastics that they come and they have fun, just being introduced to the sport in a very fun way. As they move up, moving from baby nastics to JGR, to the JGR program.
I guess that's where I'd have to go start, no? Baby nastics.
Baby nastics, yeah.
And is that for both boys and girls?
Yes, it's for both boys and girls, but sadly, we have not been doing very well with the boys, and that is really a Caribbean thing. So now we speak of the Caribbean not buying into the sport of gymnastics, maybe because of that stigma that they attach to boys doing gymnastics. But funny enough, gymnastics was a boys' sport, and girls just come and take it over. So we are really working on introducing more boys to the program through the trampoline gymnastics and acrobatic gymnastics. So they would be more interested in parkour. Parkour is also a gymnastics discipline. Once we roll out those programs, parkour, trampoline gymnastics, acrobatic gymnastics, more boys will be interested in it.
What about dedication and motivation, the factors? Are our youngsters dedicated and motivated to become world-class gymnasts?
Well, the thing is, when the children are all excited and happy to do gymnastics, from baby gymnastics right up to about teenage, when they start the teenage years, that's where you find that they start bowing out of the sport. It's not just gymnastics when you check it out. It's more sport, because when they become teenagers, they start developing in different areas, and they become not interested in sport generally anymore. But for us, once they get to a certain level in gymnastics, it means that they are really serious about it, and they are motivated because they want to get to a certain level. Because right now, there are scholarships, opportunities available for gymnasts to matriculate to colleges in the US. And so many of them who are local gymnasts now, they are working very hard to ensure that they can secure scholarships. Some of them want to be world-class gymnasts and go to the Olympics. So they are motivated in that respect. But the training, they are doing 4 or 5 hours a day for 5, 6 days per week. For them to do that, they must be highly motivated to want to get to the point where they aspire to be. And so we play the part by working with them to make sure that we give them what it is that they need while they do their part by being at training and putting out the effort every day.
I can understand as they get older that and they move away from the sport, Nicole.
Yes.
My daughter used to swim, and she got to a certain point, and she came home one evening and said, "Daddy, my hair."
Yes, they reach a point when they are
And that was the end of swimming.
okay. They come to the
And really, she was really pretty good. And I said, "Oh, here comes college scholarships."
all right. Well, my son was
Uh,
in gymnastics, and he did gymnastics at he was also Caribbean champions when he stopped, and he just one day said, "Look, I don't want to be known for gymnastics. I want to be known for football." So he just stopped.
yeah.
You know, and lots of girls, because we mostly do girls, lots of them, they stop because they reach a certain level as teenagers, and it's very difficult if they get to a certain age and they're not able to have certain skills. It becomes much harder for them, and so they're not able to grasp the skills at the higher level, and that also makes them stop.
What have you found most difficult in getting gymnastics off the ground?
The facilities, really, because you have to have, even when you're going into the schools program, you have to have the equipment to take to the schools. The schools don't provide the equipment. You'll have to have the mats, the bars, the vault, whatever it is that we use, and it costs a lot for the clubs to start a program in a school. So that is one. But outside of that, just the enthusiasm of the youngsters, they're the ones who really want to do it. And because they really want to do it and love the sport, we put out the effort to make sure that it happens. But funding and ensuring that the right equipment. So because we don't have the funding to provide certain types of equipment, we get them made right here in Jamaica. and use those equipment. So, but it's not really the correct equipment for the program. But we make them, we do what we can here to introduce them to the sport. And then they'll move on to come into the gyms, the clubs, where they have the right equipment for the program.
Let's move on a bit, Nicole, because I think it was last year Jamaica hosted the inaugural Caribbean Gymnastics Championships. How was that conceived?
Well, the year before that, we hosted the Pan American Gymnastics Youth Tournament. And we had the president of the Pan American Gymnastics Union visiting Jamaica because we had hosted the International Gymnastics Federation technical committee meeting here, which was also a historic event because they don't come to this side of the world for their committee meetings, because most of them are on the other side of the world. So the cost to come to this side of the world and the flight time is a deterrent. But based on what I've been doing, they really came as a motivation and just to support me, which I am very grateful and thankful for. And they came and had their technical committee meeting in Montego Bay. Both the men and the women. And funny enough, we had one of our gymnast skills named after him at that, was approved at that technical committee meeting. Caleb Falk, he had a skill on the bars that was named of him because he made up that skill. When they came, we had invited the Pan American president, and we took her into Kingston and showed her what we have, the facilities that we have. And so we requested to host the Pan American Youth Cup. And we were approved in short order, which is not the norm. So we hosted that and it was a success. And as such, when we met as a Caribbean presidents, we met at the Pan American Youth Cup the year before, and we spoke about having the CARIFA because we used to have the Caribbean Gymnastics Championship, but the CARIFA would be a better, because you know CARIFA is really a brand. And so we really conceptualized the whole idea, met with the relevant personnel, the whole CARIFA, for the organizations that host CARIFA, the CARIFA championships for swimming and track and field, and we were able to get a better understanding of what that is. And so Jamaica was given the nod after other countries really wanted to host the first CARIFA. But based on how well we did at the Pagu Championships, and it was such a short time to plan the CARIFA, they had confidence in us that we would be able to pull it off at such a short notice. And so we did, we hosted the CARIFA, and it was really a success as well. And we had about over 70 kids competed at the CARIFA. We had Trinidad had about 60 kids. We had Barbados. Aruba was also at the CARIFA, even though they're not a part of the CARIFA. But we had the power to invite any other country, and because they do gymnastics and they're really a part of us, we had invited them. And I mean, St. Vincent was also a part of it. It went well. The Bahamas, it went very well. So this year, the CARIFA will be in Trinidad, and we are hoping that there will be more countries who will be interested in being a part of it, because because of the short notice, some countries wasn't able to make it, like Cayman, they weren't able to make it. But we're hoping now that, you know, more countries will be a part of it. But we hosting it was a success, and it helps Trinidad, who is now gonna be hosting it, to plan, because they're able to use. We went through all the areas that we did. We did well, the disadvantages, the advantages, pros and cons, and now they're able to plan better, plan, you know.
So when is the next one?
It's in December of this year. So every year there will be CARIFA gymnastics. This year it's going to be in Trinidad and Tobago. Next year we're not sure who is going to host it next year, but we try to give everybody a chance to host, and then it will come right back to Jamaica.
So hosting the CARIFA games was the first step to what? Is there an end game?
Could you repeat that question?
I said, hosting the CARIFA games
It's
was
the
a
CARIFA.
first step to what? Is there an end game?
Well, it's the CARIFA championships. It's not the games. It's the championship. So so hosting the championship is really a part of the developmental process for the Caribbean, because the Caribbean are part of the PAGU, the Pan American Gymnastics Union, but we are we are very, very low in the whole channel of things in terms of our gymnastics development. So we have the Spanish-speaking countries, the Caribbean, the English-speaking Caribbean countries, and then you have the United States, the Canada, Brazil, etc., and they are way ahead of us. So what we're trying to do with the CARIFA is to develop as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're using it as part of our whole developmental process, which will help us to develop together as a region. Just
Since
like
the
what the Spanish-speaking countries do.
Mm-hmm. Since the CARIFA, Jamaica has been, I think, to the Pan Am Championships, where LL Baker, Courtney Bell, and Rhea Clinton made individual finals. Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, that was very, we have never had, we're still celebrating the fact that we had so many senior gymnasts competing at the Pan American Championships, and the fact that we made finals, which is the first that we're actually making finals, and also that we have made medal. We have received a medal through LL Baker, who was third place on the Pommel horse. And so it's a big motivation for us to really continue working hard with our athletes. But that was something that we are truly, truly, truly happy about. And we're hoping that this will be this will not be the last time, but each year we're working on making finals as a team is really our next. We're looking to make finals as a team for both male and female as our next objective. So there, the CARIFA, when we had the CARIFA, it really helps. It's a stepping stone to get to the next level. So after the CARIFA, you have Pan Am Youth and Pan Am Championships. And we have the judges who comes in from overseas, who are also judges who works at the Pan American level, as well as the Olympics and the World Championships level, that also help us. So it's very, very important that we continue to host the CARIFA, because it definitely builds on our progress and our developmental programs.
If my information is correct, like LL Baker, Courtney Bell, and Rhea Linton, they are not Jamaican, but
They are not
Jamaican
local.
connection. Where do they train? They train in Jamaica, or where do they train?
Their parents are Jamaican, and they train in the Rhea trains in the United States. LL Baker trains, and the other two male gymnasts trains in Canada.
Mm. Jamaica has also participated, I think, in the Copa Estrella Gymnastics competition in Costa Rica.
Oh, yes.
Was that more like an age group competition?
Yes, it's a developmental competition. We are heading to the Central America Championships in September, and this tournament was really like a warm-up for us to prepare us to see where we are, and to really make plans as it relates to our training program to improve for the next tournament, which is in September. And I must say, the girls did very, very well. We had 3 levels that we participated in, level 8, 7, and level 6. And they all did very well. We won level 8 all around. We also won level 7 all around. And we were second and third in level 6 all around. We must say a big thank you to Christopher Dabdub, who sponsored the entire team. Very surprised because they just emailed us and told us that they needed to have Jamaica involved in the tournament, and they made it happen. And we are truly grateful for that. Never before we have ever had a sponsor that sponsored the entire team to travel to the country and compete, and was also a part of the whole process of taking care of the children, making sure that they eat, they were able to transport them to and from, take them to they really took care of them. It was a very, very, we were very impressed with the whole with the host and how they treated us, and we're grateful.
What's next in terms of competition for Jamaica gymnastics?
In terms of competition, we now focusing on the Central America Championships for the developmental teams, the World Championships for our junior worlds. We have a team for the first time. We will be having a team for the Junior World Championships, which will be in the Philippines. Then we have the CARIFA, which is in Trinidad, as well as the Pan American Gymnastics Youth Cup, which will also be in Trinidad. For the seniors, they have Paris World Cup, and they have Senior World Championships.
But let me ask you this, Nicole. I think there's a championship in El Salvador now, in which we are participating.
Yes, I'm glad you get to this point, because it's another historic achievement. We have introduced rhythmic gymnastics to our discipline. So now we're not only doing artistic gymnastics, but we're also doing rhythmic gymnastics. And we're competing now at the Central America Championships in El Salvador with 2 of our young gymnasts who they are very impressive. They are doing very well. Kudos to the coach who have been working with them for some time now. And we're truly, truly happy that we finally are able to have a team that could actually represent Jamaica, and show that Jamaica is now another force when it comes to rhythmic gymnastics.
Now, you need to educate me on this one, Nicole. Artistic gymnastics is like pommel horse and rings and even bars and that kind of thing.
Yes, the floor, the bars, the rings.
Yes.
That's artistic gymnastics.
So then what is the rhythmic?
Rhythmic gymnastics is the ribbons, the ball.
Oh, yeah. Okay. When they throw the ball up in the air and catch it in
hula hoops
in the back of the knee and
and they use the hula hoops.
Yes, yes, yes.
They use the, right. So that's the rhythmic gymnastics.
How far off is Jamaica from World Championship and Olympic qualification?
So the World Championships next year will be a qualification to the Olympics. So once we compete, we have to compete at the Pan American Gymnastics Championships first to qualify for the World Championships, which is a qualifier for the Olympics.
I don't know. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to mention, Nicole?
Well, I think you have covered most of it. We have a very good administrative team that has been working to make sure that the awareness is created, everybody knows what's going on. And I must commend all of them, as well as the directors for the gyms who are part of the federation, and the parents who are the force behind all our achievements, because they're the ones who are making sure that their children do the training, and we can't thank them enough. We also want to thank the Jamaica Olympic Association, who have been really, really a part of our development from the very beginning, as well as the Ministry of Sports, who has been a part of us as well, and the Sports Development Foundation. Supreme Ventures and Mayberry and Logostitch, they have always been there with us from day one. So we could not have done all of this without them. So we just want to say a big thank you to all our sponsors who have been there from day one.
Yeah, I was about to get to that, when I said if was there anything else, because I know funding is always a sore thumb with sporting bodies. And I know as an Olympic sport, the JOA probably makes some kind of contribution. But I was going to ask you, was there any other body or sponsorship that you got to help in the promotion of the sport?
Yes, so yes, those are the ones that have always been with us. We also have our national trials and Jamaica Classic that we host every year. We invite teams from overseas, and all the gymnasts who are interested in being a part of the Jamaica team, who resides both locally and overseas, have to have also compete at the Jamaica Classic.
And when is that?
That is
When is that?
that is the end of November, the 29th and the 30th of November at the University of Technology.
Okay. November 29th.
And 30, yes.
Oh, just 2 days.
Yes, it might be 3 days, because rhythmic gymnastics trials will also be at that time as well.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if the professor has any questions he wants to ask Nicole.
Well, yes, I normally leave this sports platform to you because, you have been doing this for the last 75 years. But, but Nicole, my question to you is, how can the diaspora help? What type of help have you gotten from the diaspora? Do you have any sort of representation in the diaspora, or any organization in the diaspora that supports gymnastics in Jamaica?
Well, we don't have any representative, but we have a friend of gymnastics, Lambert, who has always been there as well. He sometimes sends us water because he knows how hot it is at the gym, and he promotes the sport of gymnastics within the diaspora on our behalf. But we don't have someone who are part of any of the maybe committees or part of their administration at this point in time. Apart from him, who, he really helps us out from time to time.
What does it cost for one of your students to participate? Approximately, what does it cost per year for a student to participate and in the gymnastic program? And what would a scholarship what would a scholarship for one student, for an individual student, cost to participate if they have an interest in taking part in the program?
Well, that would definitely be a question for the clubs. The clubs would know that aspect, because at the federation level, we try to work with all the kids who have made the national team, and outside of their daily training, we will know, because every club have a different fee that they charge. But as it relates to their traveling and working with, being a part of the various teams that will be traveling to compete at different countries, it costs a lot. I can say most of the time we're looking at least $3,000 per athlete to take them to a competition, accommodation. Sometimes depending on the hotel, it may be more. So between $3,000 to $5,000 per athlete at that level. But as it relates to them training on a daily basis, I couldn't say for sure exactly what that may be, because there are some children who would be a part of the whole federation who may not have to, we try to give a scholarship to, and they may not have to pay. But I wouldn't be able to say that at this point in time, because each
When you
club,
said 3 to 5,000, that's
US
just
dollars,
Jamaican dollars.
US
That
dollars,
US dollars.
yes, airfare,
Oh,
accommodation,
yeah, yeah.
transportation, food, all of that is a part
Mm.
of the whole process. So we have been really, really working very hard to prepare, to have some kind of foundation in terms of the funding, so that when the athletes become part of the team, they don't really have to pay that much. But we don't reach that stage as yet. We are trying to get there. We're doing our best to get there.
Mhm.
At what age do the clubs start training these athletes?
Okay, so we start them at 2 years old, actually, in the club.
Mhm.
But when they get to the competitive level, then they are at about age 6, 7. That's when they start at the competitive level.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, yes. Because at the CARIFA level 1, we do CARIFA at level USAG level 1 right up to 10. And level 1 age could be between 7 to 9 years old.
Okay, and on an average, how long does a tournament last when they have to compete?
Maybe 2 days, 3 days. And if it's at the Pan Am level, it's 4 days on average, 4 to 5 days.
So
If it's at the developmental level, it's like 2 days, but they would have to get there, like on average, we would travel and stay in that country for an average of 5 days. If
okay,
it's at the Pan Am level, it's about 7 days, because
okay,
they have to do training, qualification, finals,
okay.
Mhm.
and usually they get a rest day.
How many clubs do you have? How many clubs do you have in Jamaica?
We have about 9, but of that we have 2 main clubs that has the full capacity to train an athlete right up to the elite level. The other clubs are basically introductory recreational gymnastics. So those kids usually come into those 2 clubs and do their training when they get to that level, to the competitive level or the advanced level.
Mhm.
Do you get any support from the government?
Well,
Mhm.
yes, the Ministry of Sport do assist when they are able to through the Sports Development Foundation. But we're having some issues now with the Sports Development Foundation that we're trying to iron out and we're trying to fix. But we definitely get support through the Jamaica Olympic Association. They're always there assisting us, regardless of what, and we're truly thankful to them.
Mhm.
What is the makeup of the of your athletes, boys versus girls?
Well, in Jamaica, we mostly have girls, so it's maybe 90% girls. Overseas, it's like 50-50.
Mhm.
At the senior level, it's like 50-50. At the junior development level, and the junior level, it's like 95% girls. Yes, so
Well,
when was the last time they participated in tournaments in America or New York or any of the diaspora enclaves?
they do competitions every year in the US, mostly in the state of Florida because that's close.
Okay.
But they also compete in Canada as well,
mhm.
and the Caribbean.
Okay. I know because I've never I've not been aware of the times when they might have been even competing in Florida. I don't know if John has been up to date on that.
Well, I normally keep John up to date when
That's right.
I normally keep him up to date of what is happening in the
Yes.
sport.
And you know, I tell you, you have constantly kept me in the loop with Jamaica Gymnastics, and I certainly appreciate it. And really, I'm happy that um, the not common sport that somebody has kept me abreast of what is going on, because I try to cover sports, not just football and cricket.
Yes, so we're
You know,
trying to make that be a change, that kind of perception.
right?
Because sports is sport, and not everybody will want to play football. Not everybody wants to do track. Not everybody wants to do netball. And these are children just like those who are doing those sports. So
Yeah.
why aren't they getting the same level of attention as well? Because they even work a lot. They work hard as well. Everyone works hard, and they too work hard. So I think it's only fair that they get the attention. But how will you know unless you're kept up to date? There's no way you will know what is going on unless someone tells you what is happening. Those other sports, you can see what's going on because it comes on the air, it's there on the television, you know, and it may be your interest as well to find out what's going on there.
Mhm.
Gymnastics is a new upcoming sport. So I have to nudge you and let you know what's going on.
And as I say, I do appreciate it because, you know, I I I I try not to limit myself into what I cover on this platform. I try to include everybody, and that's why I was after you to join us to talk about gymnastics in Jamaica.
And thank
Nicole,
you so
I certainly wish you loads of success in the future, and we shall certainly keep in touch.
Yes, we definitely been keeping in touch.
And thank you and good luck.
And thank you very much for having me, both of you. Appreciate
Yes. Okay, Nicole, take care.
it. Bye.